All right, Nick, let's talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Obviously, we've already talked about coming off the big time win against a very, very feisty USC squad, one that's given a lot of people trouble all year. But we're not here to talk about the game today. We're talking about the result of what has happened after the game and some big findings, some big, premonitions for what is going on positively for Notre Dame going forward. I think Notre Dame fans are going to love this one. Before we dive into that, though, I'm Andrew, that's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, not only did Notre Dame come away with a big victory on the field, it's looking like they're going to come away with another big victory off the field as well in the recruiting game. And there's multiple layers to all of this. So, to get it out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the tweet or post on X and we can see what's going on. And we'll talk about what it means and how they're able to do this on the other side. So, this over from rivals.com says Fong Bomb Rivals Steve Wiltfong has logged in expert prediction. Very great recruiting news guy. When Wiltfong says something's going to happen, there's a pretty high probability that it is going to happen. Expert prediction for Notre Dame to land 5-star running back Kimon Spell. Spell is the number one running back in the 2027 class. He recently has decommitted from Penn State. So a lot going on there in this one tweet. First of all, seems like Notre Dame gonna land the number one running back in the 2027 class, and they're able to do that by A, winning their game, coming off of a big victory, but B, capitalizing on a school that's in the same zone for them as recruiting in Penn State's downfall and getting some really great players from there as well. So I think this is a really great job by Coach Freeman and co. just to get off a big win, hit the recruiting, say, hey, look, Penn State weak right now. We're really strong right now, and this is a great place for running backs to come. So might as well want to hand over to South Bend. It's looking like that is what is going to happen. But like I said, South Bend, great place for running backs to be right now. And let's look at it last game versus USC. We've talked about this a little bit already, but a dominant rushing performance by the Fighting Irish. Love had 228 yards, absolutely ridiculous. And Price, in his own right, 87 rushing yards as well. You'd see what Price's stats are and go, oh, pretty good game for a running back. Well, if that's your second running back, though, I think that screams to recruits. It screams to people across the board. Notre Dame can run the football really well, and you don't even have to be the top back to get significant reps. Anyone can come on this squad and really get a lot of work in. But not only did he have a good game, this game, talking about Love, I think Notre Dame has showed well how they do with running backs by showing that you can see here this PFF grades. Jeremiah Love tied for number 2 in the country in PFF grades at the running back position, doing a lot of really good stuff. And if you notice something here for Love versus these other backs, he's done it in a whole lot more volume. And while you expect someone with more volume to have more yards, which he does, he is almost double the guy that's number one. The same is true for his actual accolades, like yards per attempt and things like that. He's still in the same ballpark. So with much more volume, Love has kept up the same yards per average as some of these top running backs are showing. Notre Dame has been elite at running the football lately, and for that, they're going to get an elite running back recruit. I think this is just absolutely fantastic news for the Fighting Irish. Curious what your thoughts are on this one, Nick. But before we get to you, Notre Dame fans, in the comment section below, let's talk running backs here for a second. You got a pair of really good ones, but think back throughout history. There's been a lot of good ones I can remember, but I want to know what your thoughts are. Who's your favorite Notre Dame running back throughout history? Put it in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts on everything here in South Bend?
Well, look, obviously, things in context matter, of course. And in the world of recruiting, it's a zero-sum game, right? Penn State's loss in this case is an opportunity for Notre Dame, and credit Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish staff for going after this opportunity and building some momentum for pulling off this massive recruit. But it's important to understand what's happening right now with this Fighting Irish program. And this isn't accidental. This is Marcus Freeman's long-term strategy coming into fruition. Because if you look at Notre Dame and what they've done from a recruiting basis, it's very obvious that they've survived and thrived in some instances by taking B plus talent and using their program to elevate to the top, right? So if you look at their five-star commits in each of their classes, going back to 2022, Marcus Freeman's first full year as the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they had in the 22 class one five-star recruit. In the 23 class, they had none, zero. In 24, they had zero. In 2025, the 2025 class, they had one. In the 2026 class, future now, how many? Three. That's right. In the 2026 class, they have three five stars. That's more than what they've had in the prior four classes combined. And now we're seeing the 2027 class with this potential opportunity in front of the Fighting Irish looking to be a big time one for this program as well. The one thing that the top flight competition to Notre Dame, the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Texases, the Oregons, the Ohio States, the one advantage they had was that on paper, because of the challenges Notre Dame has with their academic constraints and things like that they put on student athletes, the one challenge that Notre Dame had and the advantage for those other programs is that they got the top flight talent on paper. They got more of the five stars. Notre Dame did a great job with the 4 and 3 stars and molding them over years into five stars. But the Ohio States, the Oregons, they could get the five stars and throw them in as freshmen for 3 years and dominate off the rip, right? And it gave them an advantage because if those five stars developed and grew, they would be better than a 4 star who developed and grew, right? Just logic, right? If the 5 star starts at a 90 rating and a 4 star at an 85, if they both bump up 5 points, 95, 90, 95 wins. That's what happened, by the way, in the championship game last year. Ohio State, great job with their developmental program, but they had the 5 star guys. Notre Dame didn't. This season, once again, Notre Dame, well, fewer in terms of top flight talent. They're doing a lot of good things, but overall, they're not on paper as good as the top flight competition in the college football world. Ohio State, just in terms of 5 stars and recruiting, is better. Oregon is better. In terms of on paper now, just on paper, Georgia, more 5 stars. And the list goes on when it comes to the top flight blue bloods. But that's changing. Marcus Freeman is changing something in Notre Dame, and it's becoming drastic. If this momentum continues, we see already in the 26 class, 3 5 stars, 27 class, building a lot of momentum. There is nothing stopping this Fighting Irish program, right? They're winning all these games. They're on a run to, I think, another playoff berth right now. They went to the national championship game last season, despite not having the 5 stars. We heard in college football for decades the reason Alabama won, the reason Georgia won, the reason Clemson had a little run there is because they won the 5 stars. Notre Dame has sort of been the antithesis to that. They can, recruit and develop and scheme and culture their way into being successful, but they can't get over the hump. They can't win the whole darn thing without the 5 stars. They can get this close, but they can't get over the hump. But now they're getting those guys. And if that trend continues, every single advantage, the last key advantage that Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Alabama, Texas, those other big blue blood programs, the last most significant advantage they have over the Fighting Irish is gone. And that means Notre Dame doesn't do a Cinderella story in terms of a run to the national championship game like we saw last year. It means you're the favorite every single season. It means they become a dynastic juggernaut. Marcus Freeman is heading right there, right now, taking this Fighting Irish program with them. It's not getting a lot of publicity. It's not getting a lot of attention, right? Because a lot of people just sort of focus on one recruit here, one recruit there. But when you look at the trend and you look at the data, again, if you look at the last four classes, if you look at 22, 23, 24, 25, those four classes combined, two total 5 stars. And we see where they are today with those classes. 2 5 stars, national championship game last year, good season so far this year. 26 class, already 3 5 stars. 27, like you brought up, making a lot of moves there. If they close that talent gap on paper, there is nothing stopping this Notre Dame program. They're already one of the best in football. They already will continue to be one of the best in football. Now, with this talent gap closing, I think they're going to elevate themselves to the undisputed best in football. Georgia, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, those other programs, I guarantee if you talk to this head coach and got them in an honest room right now and said, listen, what do you think of this? They're scared. They're concerned. They're worried because their big advantage was they got the 5 stars. Oregon gets Corey Moore. Ohio State, they get Jeremiah Smith. Alabama gets, Ryan Williams, whoever, right? List goes on. If Notre Dame starts getting those guys, they're done, right? That's their advantage. That's how they beat Notre Dame. That's the only way they can beat Notre Dame. And the Fighting Irish folks under Marcus Freeman, they're closing that gap. And that makes them, I think, the most dangerous team in college football. Their run to make it to the playoffs this year, I think they run the table. I've said that a couple of times. I think they're heading in that direction. CJ Carr is doing wonderful things. Marcus Freeman, running back room, they're trending in a great direction, playing their best football as the season progresses. But that's good for this season. And this season, I think, has a lot of opportunity in front of it. But folks, what we're seeing right now is the worst of Notre Dame, the worst. They're getting astronomically better on paper. And the culture, the talent development, all of those elements, that ain't going away. And that makes, my opinion, this Fighting Irish program today 2 or 3 years away from being the juggernaut, the face of college football. Fighting Irish fans, you enjoyed the ride last year. I guarantee you're going to have some fun the rest of the way this season too. But I tell you what, one more guarantee, one more prediction. I think the future, 2-3 years out from now, 27, 28, we'll be talking about this Notre Dame squad as the undisputed best in college football. They're heading in that direction, and they're heading there quickly.
Yeah, Nick, and I think what you brought up is paramount, really key here. Notre Dame has done a lot of good things. And I think one thing that people underrate a lot that Notre Dame has done is they've been so consistent that through the turmoil and tumultuation of college football right now, everyone knows that if you take a second to look around, there's a lot of fluctuation going on between coaches and staffs. Florida fires their coach, Penn State fires their coach, teams that are like perennial powerhouses, like you said, in the recruiting world that are in a way gatekeeping those top players from Notre Dame. Those are the places that they would go first traditionally. Notre Dame has kept that consistency going. Heck, we saw this past weekend, 9 top 25 teams lost this past weekend. Notre Dame has kept winning. The only teams they've lost to this season is a top 10 team, number 9 in Miami, and a top 3 team in Texas A&M, who's ranked number 3 right now. Those were like 1-score, 1-point games. So Notre Dame, pinnacle of consistency. They've done a great job. Marcus Freeman's kept the ship going forward through this rocky college football landscape now. And I think they're now becoming that beacon of, hey, this is a good place to go. There's results on the table. And I think people see that. Anyone can go look at the recruiting classes for Notre Dame and say, hey, they've done really good, but they have not yet got the talent that some of these other teams that are, I'd say, underperforming definitely with this talent have done. Notre Dame, they've done really well with what they got. Just imagine as they get more guys, as they get more 5 stars, how much better they're going to be. Like you said, this team that's on a major upward trajectory. This is, in the past few years, we look back, next 3-4 years, we're going to say that was the worst that Notre Dame was. They're just going to get better every single year. So I think Notre Dame's in a great spot. Marcus Freeman's got this team going in the right direction. With the consistency that they've put on paper, the talent's going to come. I think we're going to see a big spike and see this team be perennial college football playoff contenders and not just be a fun team to watch make it, be a team that people, like you said, other teams are nervous to go up against a Notre Dame team to win the whole dang thing.